Hi, Jonas and Cam. It's Auntie Sarah. We just finished our Shabbat Zoom call together, and I wanted to start reading a very special book. This was a book that I loved as a kid. It's called The Velveteen Rabbit, written by Marjorie Williams, and this one is illustrated by Alan Atkinson. So there's a lot of words in this book, but there's some great pictures. Here's the Velveteen Rabbit, and here's the Skin Horse, and here's a bunch of other toys. So as you can see, there are lots of words on one page and not so many pictures. So I'm going to be reading the book, and I will show you the pictures before and after. But let's go ahead and get started. So here the Velveteen Rabbit is looking out a window. Here the Velveteen Rabbit is outside. Here the Velveteen Rabbit is in bed. And there you can see he's hiding behind this bear. All right, so this is where the story begins. Take a good look at that picture. There was once a Velveteen Rabbit, and in the beginning he was really splendid. He was fat and bunchy as a rabbit should be. His coat was spotted brown and white, and he had real thread whiskers. His ears were lined with pink satin. On Christmas morning, when he sat wedged on the top of the boy's stocking, with a sprig of holly between his paws, the effect was charming. There were other things in the stocking, nuts and oranges and a toy engine and chocolate almonds and a clockwork mouse, but the rabbit was quite best of all. For at least 2 hours, the boy loved him. And then aunts and uncles came to dinner, and and there was a great rustling of tissue paper and unwrapping of parcels. And in the excitement of looking at all the new presents, the Velveteen Rabbit was forgotten. So here's our next page. Take a good look at those pictures there. So this book is kind of long, so I'm going to read it in chapters. For a long time, he lived in the toy cupboard or on the nursery floor, and no one thought very much of him. He was naturally shy, being only made of velveteen. Some of the more expensive toys quite snubbed him, which means they were mean and rude to him. The mechanical toys were very superior and looked down upon everyone else. They were full of modern ideas and pretended they were real. The model boat, who had lived through 2 seasons, had lost most of his paint and caught the tone from them and never missed the opportunity of referring to his rigging in technical terms. The rabbit could not claim to be a model of anything, for he didn't know that real rabbits existed. He thought they were all stuffed with sawdust like himself, and he understood that sawdust was quite out of date and should never be mentioned in modern circles. Even Timothy, the jointed wooden lion, look at the lion clan, who was made by disabled soldiers and should have had broader views, put on airs and pretended he was connected to the government. Between them all, the poor little rabbit was made to feel himself very insignificant and commonplace, and the only person who was kind to him at all was the Skin Horse. All right, here's the next page. So here we have the Skin Horse talking to the Velveteen Rabbit, and there's the toy cupboard with another toy poking out. And let's see what we have on this side. We have some more toys, it looks like. Okay. The Skin Horse had lived longer in the nursery than any of the others. He was so old that his brown coat was bald in patches and showed the seams underneath, and most of his hair and his tail had been pulled out to string bead necklaces. He was wise, for he had seen a long succession of mechanical toys arrive to boast and swagger and by and by break their mainspring and spring and pass away. And he knew they were only toys and would never turn into anything else. For nursery magic is very strange and wonderful, and only those playthings that are old and wise and experienced, like the skin horse, understand about it. "What's real?" asked the rabbit one day when they were lying side by side near the nursery fender before Nana came to do the tidying up. "Does it mean having things that buzz inside you and stick out, a handle that sticks out?" "Real isn't how you're made," said the skin horse. "It's a thing that happens to you when a child loves you for a very long time, not just to play with, but really loves you. You become real." "Does it hurt?" asked the rabbit. "Sometimes," said the skin horse, for he was always truthful. "When you are real, you don't mind being hurt." So here are the pictures for this page. We have the skin horse here, who's, you can see he's kind of shabby, no more tail hair and kind of shabby there. And then this is the little rabbit with all the other toys. So after these two pages, this will be chapter 1. And then I'll make another video for chapter 2. "Does it happen all at once, like being wound up?" he asked, "or bit by bit?" "It doesn't happen all at once," said the skin horse. "You become. It takes a long time, and that's why it doesn't often happen to people who break easily or who have sharp edges or who have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you are real, most of your hair has been loved off, and your eyes drop out, and you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But these things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly, except to people who don't understand." I suppose you are real," said the rabbit, and then wished he had not said it, for he thought the skin horse might be sensitive. But the skin horse only smiled. "The boy's uncle made me real," he said, "and that was a great many years ago. But once you are real, you can't become unreal again. It lasts for always." The rabbit sighed. He thought it would be a long time before this nursery magic called real happened to him. He longed to become real, to know what it felt like, and yet the idea of growing shabby and losing his eyes and whiskers was rather sad. He wished that he could become it without those uncomfortable things happening to him. There was a person called Nana who ruled the nursery, and sometimes she took no notice of playthings laying about, and sometimes for no reason whatsoever she went swooping about like a great wind and hustled all the toys into the cupboard, and she called this tidying up, and all the playthings hated it, especially the tin ones. The rabbit didn't mind so much, for wherever he was thrown, he came down soft. So that's the end of chapter 1. Next video, we're going to start with chapter 2. So we see a few new characters in here, a boy and a dog. All right, until next time, bye-bye.